We really need to refilm this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Sports Talk in the Burgh. I'm Logan Carney here with the veteran Ian Kist and the top prospect Matt Simkovic, who is making his rookie debut tonight with us here on Sports Talk. Guys, now we just had a week filled with All-Star games and Super Bowl hype, so why don't we just jump right in?
Dive right into it.
Jump right into it. All right. So question, what's better than the holiday season? If you answered Super Bowl Sunday, then you're exactly right, because this Sunday is the greatest day of the year as the Philadelphia Eagles attempt to dethrone Tom Brady and the Patriots. Even though we're all sick about who's in the game is featuring, I want to know, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl this year?
Patriots.
I guess we're all saying Patriots.
I mean, does Tom Brady get nervous before a Super Bowl? Does Gronk get nervous before a Super Bowl? But you can argue that Nick Foles, he's freaking out. I mean, he didn't even think he was going to be in this position as the backup. And I mean, the Carson Wentz, and now, I mean, the matchup, same as 2004, I don't think there's no experience from the Eagles.
So we're all saying Patriots. I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, Matt, do you think it'll be a close game? Do you think it'll be a blowout? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be a little bit closer to a blowout, while not entirely a blowout, because obviously the Eagles deserve to be there. They earned their spot in that game just as much as the Patriots did. I feel like the Patriots are, as you said, the more comfortable team. They've been here before. They know what they're up against. They've played them before. It's a rematch of 2004. The Patriots won then. I feel like the Patriots are going to win.
I think it's going to be close. I mean, you look at these Super Bowl scores. The Patriots, every Super Bowl they've been in, only one has been decided by more than 4 points, and that was last year when they won in overtime by 6. All right, so it's going to be a close game.
Yeah.
When you get to Brady and he gets into crunch time, he's thrown one interception in the fourth quarter this year. All right, if it's close, the only way the Eagles are going to win is if they can somehow miraculously pull it out and put up at least 10 points on them, have a 10-point lead at some point. But if it's close, well, I don't think the Eagles stand a chance.
If it's anything like the Falcons last year and the Eagles get ahead, they got to keep pounding, they got to keep scoring, because that's what happened with the Falcons. They didn't start scoring and they let them come back. I think they scored, a field goal here and there in the second half, and they just backed off scoring. The Patriots got comfortable, sacked Matt Ryan, and that just can't happen. If the Eagles want any chance, they got to keep pushing the pedal to the metal and keep going, or it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be Tom Brady in the fourth quarter winning himself another Super Bowl ring.
Tom Brady, fourth quarter within 7. He's 4 touchdowns, no interceptions this year. He is phenomenal in crunch time, and if it's close, I just don't think the Eagles stand a chance.
So the men's basketball team here at Robert Morris has, put up a 7-3 non-conference record or conference record right now. But they cannot get over the hump to beat Wagner and St. Francis, the other top 2 teams in the conference. Guys, what does this team need to do to get over that hump?
It's simple. They need to shoot better. You need to shoot better 3-point wise. The team shot, and they need to be more consistent too. In the first half against Wagner, the team shot 60% from the 3-point line. The second half, they shot 18% overall. All right, this is a team that needs to shoot better. Their offense is better this year. They had a stretch of 4 games, which was the when they scored 80 points. First time since the 90s that this team has ever done this. All right, so they have a better offense this year. They just need to be consistent and play 2 halves. Remember that there's 2 halves in a basketball game. You need to finish. That's all you need to do.
I just have that they need an inside presence. There's no big guys on the team that can clear out the paint at either end of the court. And honestly, they need to establish a program. A big problem with our team is youth. People come here for 1 year, 2 years, and then they transfer to somewhere better. Robert Morris isn't a spot where D1 basketball players graduate from. It's a stepping stone on a path to greatness. And that's our problem. We need to set up a program. We need to get more experienced players in. Once we set up a program that makes recruiting for the future easier, and that just honestly brings us to an entirely different level in Division I basketball.
Yeah, and I bet you guys can even circle some names who you think may not even be here next season, and that's the 3 to come to mind, and those are 3 big keys to the success so far this season.
I mean, they're right up there with Wagner. And you look at these numbers, they're the second best defense right behind Wagner in terms of scoring. This is a team that can compete. They just have not been able to finish.
So the women's basketball team is on a 9-game win streak currently, and they are undefeated in conference play. The team's next game is against St. Francis University, who the Colonials beat in the final seconds off a buzzer beater shot from Megan Smith. What do you think the team's been doing right for these past 9, and what do you think they need to do to keep hot as the season winds down? They only have 9 left.
Well, they play as a team. I mean, they have leaders in Megan Smith coming off of 22 points, and if she doesn't put up the points in terms of being a leader, she does it verbally. She does it mentally. She does it other ways. She's hustled. She's always on the ground, it seems like. She is that senior leader. She's that player, and that's one name that we coming into the season, like she needs to step up because she showed leader sophomore, junior year, even freshman year. You know, she was a big part of that team. And then they dominate opponents. They get ahead. I mean, they didn't let the worst team in the conference. They were neck and neck heading into the second quarter, Monday's game, and they didn't let that get to them.
You know, I think a stat that really goes, unnoticed is it's a lot more. It's difficult to grab rebounds, but it's a lot more difficult to grab them when you're the one shooting it and you have to follow up the shot. Robert Morris leads in second in offensive rebounds, but in terms of percentage and how much they're shooting, they're first in the conference. All right, they're just a lot of effort on this team, and like you said, they play great teamwork. I believe they're fifth in the conference in assists or fourth in the conference in assists. They play great teamwork. They play high octane offense. Their effort is phenomenal, and that's why they've won these games.
Can we talk about the freshmen?
Yeah.
Haruka Ikamatsu, the NEC Rookie of the Week. I mean, she's second in 3-point scoring. She is a scoring machine. Nationally, she's a freshman being nationally recognized. You don't see that a whole lot, and that's pretty impressive.
Now, there were 2 All-Star games this weekend in the NFL Pro Bowl and the NHL All-Star game. While my personal favorite doesn't take place to July, I am curious as to what you two think of which one's the better of these 2 events.
This is tough for me. I mean, I'll admit, during these 2 events, I was playing NBA Live and killing up with Diana Taurasi with the Phoenix Mercury in the WNBA mode. But I mean, I went back and forth. I kept up. If I knew the games were getting closer, I paid attention to Metropolitan and the Atlantic's first game. But other than that, I mean, I think the hype up to them a little bit, the skills, for the NHL game, the skills competition, and the dodgeball, to me, that intrigues me more, to be honest.
I have to go with you here. I'm definitely on your side. I'm a hockey guy. The NHL All-Star Game, they make it a great way to grow the game. They really do. They make the entire weekend interesting with the skills competition, like you said. I feel like we get more out of it as viewers, at least me personally, watching the skills competition, because it's fun to see all the guys joking around, and you get to kind of relate to them a little bit. You get to see that these top athletes are they like to have fun just as much as we do.
I mean,
I know you have
fun.
a rebuttal.
It's fun, but how can you really grow the game if nobody watches it? Because I look at these ratings numbers, 1.19. The Pro Bowl, 5.9. 5, and the MLB All-Star Game, 5.5. The NBA All-Star Game, 8.9. It is so far behind in terms of viewers. You can't grow the game if majority of the people aren't watching it. So as for me, I don't like either of the games. I think they're both jokes of games because nobody cares. Mm-hmm. But as far as growing the game, I just don't see it. I really don't see it.
There have been many situations this NFL season in which the catch rule has been an issue and has affected the outcome of a few games. Commissioner Roger Goodell is concerned with the rule and wants to change it in the offseason. God, should the rule be changed, though? We know there's been issues. Should the rule actually be changed?
It doesn't really need to be changed. It just needs to be clarified.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
They don't really need to take stuff. It's confusing of the rule. The rule is.
And if people are still confused, and players and coaches and owners are then still confused, maybe you think about tweaking it a little bit after the clarification. If the clarification doesn't fix anything, but again, I think it doesn't. I think it just needs to be laid out a little better. I mean, the rules are there. I just think there's going to be a little more, and more detail. And I mean, I want Roger Goodell's input on the Jesse James Because according to the rule, Jesse James, it was not a catch. I'll admit that it was not a catch, but I just want to see what he
I'm
thinks
glad
of
you brought that up because it's very confusing, especially when you see those scenarios.
Yeah.
I mean, I think back to the Jesse James thing, and I look at the rule, and yes, it's not a catch. But then why, when the Denver Broncos had it, they dropped the ball in the end zone, or they had the ball in the end zone while he was going to the ground. The ball clearly flew out because it flew like 10 yards. I don't know if you guys remember that play, but it happened early in the season, and it was still ruled a touchdown. So there's just no clarification. There's a double standard. It's ridiculous.
And when the Patriots played Buffalo and New York this season, it looked like 2 clear touchdowns that were called back. Yeah, a lot of people think that there's conspiracy that the calls, when it went against the Pats, they got, it was overturned, and, vice versa, that they were able to win a game on a controversial call like that. But, I just need a little more clarification because those look like touchdowns to me.
I'm with you. Whenever the players, the viewers, and everything else are confused on the rule, that's when something needs done about it.
So don't go anywhere, though, because we got more All-Star Game talk, and we'll give you who we think is the best male athlete of all time. So don't go anywhere. Good job.
Did you know parking over tall, dry grass can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
I spy something beginning with S.
Snow?
No.
Snow-covered trees?
Nothing to do with snow.
Head outside to discover incredible animals and beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure.
Wow.
So grab your loved ones
Don't even.
and explore a world of possibilities.
Come on, this way.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest.
The NBA All-Star Game is a great way to give the NBA's biggest stars and even some young talent an extra shot at some time in the spotlight. But often the bigger topic of discussion over the game is who didn't make the game. Some disagreements as far as a lineup are expected amongst fans, but who truly were the snubs of this year's NBA All-Star Game, guys?
I'll start off. My main one, Chris Paul. You can argue that he hasn't played in a good bit of games with injuries this season, but the Rockets are 23-5 in the games that he's been there. He puts up work. He dominates. He helps his team win. So to me, he's a snub.
I'm looking at it. I'm gonna say. I like how you said Chris Paul. I was thinking him too, but I'm looking at these numbers for Ben Simmons.
Okay.
He's a rookie, and that's probably why he didn't get it. But 16.3 points, 7.9 rebounds, 7.2 assists, 1.9 steals, and almost a block a game. The dude's a freak. And I don't know if they've already picked somebody to replace Kevin Love, but if he, for me, would be at least my second pick. He should have been it because the stats say he's doing everything all around.
Yeah.
He looks to be a next star in the making too.
I'm with you guys on that one, honestly. I can't think of any of the names that didn't make it that should have made it. I was kind of not surprised with the lineups. Everyone who made the team deserves to make the teams for a reason. They're all putting up insane stats. But honestly, I didn't see anyone that didn't make it that I thought, whoa, how is I understood everyone that was snubbed. Even if I didn't agree with it, I understood why they weren't there.
Yeah, and Chris Paul got snubbed because he's been out for a lot of half the games. So that's that.
Now, for the past 3 years, though, as we stay with the NBA, the Cavaliers have been the beasts of the East, making 3 consecutive championships by winning the Eastern Conference. This year, though, they currently sit in the 3 seed. They're 3-7 in their last games, have obvious, public chemistry issues, and now will be without All-Star Kevin Love for potentially the next 2 months. Now, guys, what is going on in the mistake by the lake?
Well, let's just say, Tyronn Lue summed it up after Kevin Love broken hand injury. When it rains, it pours. That sums up their season. And again, a lot of people are criticizing, there's more issues if you look deep into LeBron's defensive play last night. And I need to look into a little bit more, but, they were not happy with it. And is he giving up? Is he giving up? And they're in the 3 seed right now. It's going to fall apart.
I'm looking at it, these numbers and the guys that they got. Isaiah Thomas, yes, he hasn't played enough, but he's he's averaging 13 points less than he did last year, in the trade. You look at Jay Crowder in that Boston trade, and he's averaging less than 10 points when he averaged 13 last year with Boston. He used to be all around. It seems like that trade, when we all thought it was going to hurt the Celtics, whereas Kyrie Irving's averaging above 20 points, playing phenomenal basketball, has significantly hurt the Cavaliers in both chemistry and point-wise. They're not scoring as much, and they're struggling because of it.
Kevin Love's going to hurt them more than anything, honestly. They can make a trade if they want to, but Kevin Love made the NBA All-Star game for a reason. He was a huge part of the Cavs in the first half of the season, and I can't express how much that is going to hurt them more than anything else. What they do from there is all right, but everything was okay until that happened, and then, like you said, when it rains, it pours, and it seems like it's pouring in Cleveland.
Gentlemen, now let's switch gears a little bit and get into who we believe is the greatest American athlete of all time. I think I know where this is going to go and what our picks are going to be. Well, now let's tell our fans.
Well, I want to surprise a little bit. It's someone you never think about, but when you think about it, it makes total sense. I'm going with Michael Phelps. He's won more Olympic games than anybody, or more Olympic medals than anybody has ever won, and he's really just been the dominant athlete in swimming. And the big difference that I like to say with your 2 picks, no disrespect to them, is he's a guy that has been inarguably the best. I mean, Mark Spitz was, used to be the best in swimming, but nobody argues him more than Michael Phelps. Whereas, Jordan has LeBron now, Crosby. We'll always have Gretzky. I mean, I think Gretzky's better. But, there's always those guys. Michael Phelps is the only one that's inarguably there.
The one thing I'll say that a few of his medals have come in the relay. Now he's had good pieces around him to help him. Of course he's not always the last stretch, but I know he still helps that team win a lot. You remove Michael Phelps, I don't think the U.S. wins in the relay.
But how about the type of athleticism that it takes to go in and do those events multiple times?
And the fact that he retired and then came back. You can very well argue that Michael Jordan had pieces around him, but 6 titles, never lost a finals. That's what I circle here. 38 points scored with the flu. You can argue may not have had the flu, but whatever. But then 10-time NBA scoring champion. I just think he's definitely the one.
I have to go with Sidney Crosby. Like I said, I'm a hockey guy, but at the end of the day, Sidney Crosby will be a huge name in the NHL for decades after his retirement. He's had the highlight reel goals and anything else that is just unrivaled in the NHL, and I feel like you can make a solid case for him.
Sir, wait, Gretzky, Gordie Howe, Mario Lemieux, unrivaled.
Moving on, boys. Tiger Woods is currently ranked at 539 according to the official World Golf Ranking. This is up from his place last week, which was 647, by over 100 spots. Is he hitting his groove again and getting back to where he was at one point, which is the top of the food chain in the golf world?
He is on the way back, ladies and gentlemen. He's on the way back, and I'm so excited. Okay. I love Tiger Woods growing up. I'm so excited. He shot 3 under in the tournament, and while the big is, he didn't hit the fairway that often. He only hit the fairway 30 times, but he didn't have that many bogeys, which means that his short game is just where it was before. He's chipping the puck. I don't know why I said puck.
Chipping the puck.
So in hockey a little bit there, but he's chipping the ball onto the green phenomenally, and he's just played great. He's looking like the real Tiger, the old Tiger.
I agree. I want Tiger Woods to succeed and be Tiger Woods again more than anybody. But I want to see more out of him. You know what I mean? We've only seen him twice, and I want to see him consistently playing weekend after weekend.
See, that's what I have down here, guys. Tiger Woods is 42 years old. Is that saying that he's out of his prime? No, absolutely not. He can come back by any means. But the big number here, 539th. He still has a long way to go before he's back up top. If he can get back into his groove, he can play weekend after weekend.
I think a better number is he only finished 23rd in the tournament. He finished 9th in the other tournament he did earlier this, right at the end of last year.
See, if he competes
He's
every weekend,
playing again.
right now he has time to, to recuperate after every, tournament, because of being off by a few months. But the show back to Tiger form, it's going out and performing the way every weekend or every tournament.
That's what I'm saying.
He's not back to full form, but he is definitely on the right track, and that train is moving fast down the woods. See what I did there? Tiger's running down the woods.
Wow.
When we come back, we are going to discuss the Cleveland Indians, but not what you think when we typically discuss a professional baseball team. We will also think about the Washington Redskins. Again, it's not what we typically discuss, the NFL football team. And we also have our final takes. Stay tuned for more sports talk in the Burgh. I put Indians.
That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
The MLB forced the Cleveland Indians to remove the Chief Wahoo logo on their uniforms. This is due to increasing pressure from Native American groups to remove the logo. Guys, what are your thoughts on the logo change?
I think it's uncalled for. I mean, it's an Indian logo. I don't think that's disrespectful within itself. The other topic we'll get into, yes, but I don't think it's disrespectful, and I don't think it was necessary.
I think it was a little bit extreme to force them to change it.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been better to make it a suggestion.
I mean, we have the quote here from the Indians owner, which I think you can look at, it's clear to me looking at this quote, and this is the problem that I have with the whole thing, is that he was basically forced to do, is that the commissioner came down and said, hey, you can't run your team this way. You can't do this. And I think that's a little bit, absurd.
So you don't believe I'm ultimately in agreement? You think
it sounds like he was pushed towards agreement. All right, because they're still going to be selling that stuff in the stadium. They're still selling that stuff around the stadium. It's just not going to be MLB official merchandise.
People are still going to wear the old logos.
Yeah,
hats,
they're not banning it from.
Yeah,
they're not banning
it. Doesn't solve anything then if people are still going to wear that to games. It's still going to be in the stadium.
It doesn't solve anything, but it's a step in the right direction. It's a nice gesture to make. If you do find it offensive, then they're showing that they have the initiative to be respectful to their fans, to people, and go out and change it if it needs to be changed. I feel like it was extreme that they were forced to change it, but I feel like a change is suggested.
Now that Chief Wahoo is gone, should the Washington Redskins follow in their footsteps?
Well, I don't think they're going to.
Yeah.
So I don't really think this matters because the commissioner Goodell is hard set on them not changing it. All right, and I don't think they're going to.
It's like all of a sudden people are upset about it. It's like, come on, it's been there forever.
Yeah, I mean, there was a poll that Washington Post did where they found 9 in 10 Native Americans weren't offended by the Redskins name. All right, now I'm not gonna, say that poll represents everything because I don't really trust, how they got that information. They got it through telephones, so I don't really trust how they got that information. But on my opinion, they should put it to a referendum. Get as many Native American groups that you can, and get the fans of the teams, the Indians and the Redskins, and of course any other Indian team name out there, and have it put to a referendum. And if it's close, if it's even close to being, if it's even like 50%, I would change the name.
Yeah.
But if this 9 and 10 is accurate, then I don't think that it should change.
I mean, just like we said for the Indians, I feel like Redskins is a little bit more offensive than the Indians, but I still don't feel like it's necessary. I feel like the referendum is a great idea. Put it up to the local groups, even groups away from the areas. See what you can come up with as far as new names, but I don't think that it's necessary to change.
And I just put that you would think that the Redskins would be forced to change or would change before the Indians. The fact that you're changing Indians but the Redskins are still there, that doesn't add up. It doesn't add up.
I mean, I don't think the NFL's done a much better job at keeping out of controversy last year's MLB. But now it's time for our favorite segment of the show, our final takes. In this segment, we each get the chance to say whatever it is on our minds as we close out. We'll start with the vet, Ian Kiss.
So my final take involves the newly announced XFL by billionaire and great entertainment mind Vince McMahon. The announcement came last week after it was rumored for weeks that McMahon was bringing the league back. One thing that sticks out to me about the league is McMahon's 10 rules the league will follow. The rule that sticks out to me the most is the rule of no criminal backgrounds with any player is permitted. The background is permitted to play in the league, so no Johnny Manziel, who seems to be a perfect fit for the league because, the whole NFL thing worked out for him. Hopefully the rule holds up because that is key to having a clean and well-run league in today's age. Also, no politics is another rule that will seem to separate the XFL from the NFL. I am curious to see how the league will turn out starting in 2 years from now. Remember, anything Vince McMahon touches turns into gold. Just look at the WWE.
My final take is the Vegas Golden Knights. A team entirely made up of spare parts, if you will. Nobody expected them to be as good as they are, and from the beginning they've stunned fans across the NHL world. Starting off with an 8-game win streak, they're now 33-12-4. They lead the Pacific Division, the Western Conference, and they're second in the NHL as of right now, behind by 1 point to Tampa Bay. The last time an expansion team won a championship in their first season was when the Chicago Fire won in the MLS in 1998. No other expansion team in the NHL has even had a winning record their first season. The closest being Philadelphia in 1967, where they finished 31-32-11. The Vegas Golden Knights have a goals per game average of 3.4, the second highest in the NHL. What we're seeing is something that's never happened before. The island of misfit toys of the NHL is in serious contention for a Stanley Cup championship, thanks to an insane amount of hard work and a heaping spoonful of buy-in from the players.
Now, guys, the biggest thing to happen in sports entertainment this past week is Rowdy Ronda Rousey moving into the WWE, and I got her future belt right here. The move to the WWE is a win for both her and the league. Now, the WWE is trying to promote the women wrestlers as much as their men, and who better than the person who single-handedly, there we go, brought women's fighting to a serious level. Before Rousey, there was no women's division in the UFC. Now they have 4. As for Rousey, she gets to follow in Brock Lesnar's path and do both acting and fighting in the organization that inspired her to be a fighter. What about the UFC, though? The loss of Rousey is a bigger loss than people realize for the UFC, as only 3 fighters have ever sold to more than 1 million pay-per-views. 2 of those fighters are Rousey and Lesnar, who are both in the WWE, while the other is Conor McGregor, who has shown no interest in returning to the UFC after fighting in the much more profitable sport of boxing. The move is huge for all 3 parties, but one of them, it looks like, is going to suffer. Now, we got the Super Bowl coming up. Let me ask you guys, we said it will be close. We all have our predictions, but what do you think the score is going to be, Ian?
34-21, Pats.
34-21?
Yeah.
So you don't think it's going to be that close?
They're going to pull away in the fourth.
Pull
I
away
think
in
it's
the
going to
fourth?
be decently close, and then Eagles are just going to get tired. They're going to get weeded, and then Tom Brady's going to do his thing.
What about you, Matt? What do you think?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was a blowout score, say something like 42-18.
All right, well, thanks, guys, for that, and we will see you in 2 weeks, same time, same channel. Have a good night, everyone.